Hello and welcome to yet another cast. For you today I have a 3v3 played on the Matchmaker, and that's also the Neurox's Mapgen. We have Team 1 up on top, Team 2 down the bottom, and let's introduce our players. On the southernmost slot in the middle right here for the northern team, Team 1, we have Strife going Seraphim and opening first land in blue. To the north of that, in purple, we have Kampfkicks going Aeon and opening first land. And to the west of that, in dark blue, going Cyprin and opening first land as well, we have Deus. Now, for the southern team, on their northernmost slot right here furthest to the front, in red, going Cyprin and opening first land, we have Knabberwasser. Or Knabberwasser, or however you pronounce that. I'm just gonna expect the German pronunciation, so I'm gonna stick to Knabberwasser. Then to the east of that, in orange, going UEF and opening first land, we have Lagavulin, or Lagavulin, something like that. And last but not least, to the south of that, in burgundy red and going Cyprin as well, opening first land, we have Katawanga, or Katawunga. Or something like that. I'd be surprised if I can actually stick to one way to refer to them. But yes, now game is Mapgen, as already pointed out. We have a bigger pond in the north, a bigger one in the south, small land bridge in between, island on the southern pond that we might see contested. Map is zoomed in a bit, we are on a 20k base, so I expect 15k or something like that. Though, well, we are zoomed in quite a bit, so maybe even 12k. And reclaim-wise, we are looking at around 5k reclaim, I'd say. Let's see how much nothing has been reclaimed, so 4.5k reclaim in total on this map. Not a lot of reclaim going around. But typical for Mapgen, dotted around a bit, some larger clusters close to the bases of the players. Just seem to be a bunch of rocks with a bunch of the alien shrubbery. And then just a bunch around these, well, slight rises in elevation. We see some mexes already expanding to the front for Knabberwasser, not mexes, NGs expanding to the front for to get some mexes. And already a farm out from Strife, threatening this NG, taking it out, and thus denying the expansion for a bit. Very aggressive opening from Strife with that, already having that farm out. But very nice to see, of course. And already going for mass sewer production with engineers basically being done in that factory. Very aggressive opener. We now also do see some mantis coming out from Knabberwasser as a counter. Another NG under threat from this farm, but the mantis does get in range and opens up. And as it did get a few shots off without being countered properly, we can expect that farm to go down without taking anything else down. And yes. Right. That's out of the way. And commanders currently... Well, the commander for Strife did move a bit closer to the front, grabbing those maxes that were attempted to be grabbed by Knabberwasser on their respective side. And the commander for Deus is currently also underway to get to the front. Right here on the side, just notice we have a transport out from Deus as well, trying to get a cheeky drop into the backline of Katawanga's base. And I don't think there are currently any intis out for the southern team, so expect that to succeed. What's loaded on this transport looks just like engineers, though at the dark color it is very hard to tell as the contrast with the black is not that great. Even the burgundy red has better contrast. But it does get noticed and pinged, however. No intis out to take that to shoot that down. And thus the drop does succeed, and yes, it was just a bunch of NGs. Already starting on some autocannons. and those will basically deny any spam from coming in, unless that spam does come in the form of a artillery. But radar also goes up, 2 PDs, and with that this area is under lockdown for the moment. Anything similar? Not by the looks of it. Though there is another transport or another drop out from Kampfkrigs as well, going after the into the area of the naval factory for Katawanga in the southern pond. Immediately reclaiming that. There is a submarine attempted to be built, but that build power is just too much, and thus the factory does get killed off before it can do anything. But on the note of naval factories, there is already one up for Lagavulin in the northern pond as well, already with a submarine out, and one that just finished for Kampfkrigs. T1 bombers now utilized on the drop in the south, though there is mobile AA in the area that is starting to take out, or that is firing into these bombers. Already taking out 2, another one going down. However, that did succeed in taking out a majority of the build power, meaning that there is not too much left to ensure this, and there is now the ACU for Katawanga coming in, and thus this position will be... this will force Deus to relinquish this position, to give it up. Bunch of extra spam also coming in, and with that, build power mostly went down. That factory is not long for this world, and with that, that position is safe once again, though it did delay the projects of Katawanga for a moment. Now, interesting development, Knappewasser pushing in the north, running past, causing a big run by with a bunch of their spam. Taking out a long path of Nexus, and just pressing through the back line, taking out more and more stuff. Also, bigger push right into the position of Strife. There is... never mind, that's just a radar. With support from Lagavulin also coming in. This is not looking too great for the Northern team right now, as they are about to lose the main base of Kampfkrigs. Wait, is that the main base? It does have T2 Maxes, but no, this is the main base right here, I think. But T2 Max does end up going down. There is an attempt to build up some Eruptors, but the NGs are getting targeted, and so they do go down. Another 2 Maxes almost at T3, never mind, 3 Maxes almost at T3. Not T3, T2. But they will be forced, not forced to cancel or forced to go down, they will just go down due to the presence of these Mantas. Causing even more damage. The naval factory up here was also destroyed by the naval forces of Lagavulin, so not looking too great right now. There was apparently another drop right here in the south by Deus though, that with an attempt to get up some stuff as well, but it was already noticed, and thus Katawanga already has units on their way to take that out, without too much spam currently produced to try and hold that off. Not a great start for the Northern team right now, though at least apparently some flares managed to get in the back here to cause some havoc, cause some havoc as well. While the naval presence in the northern pond has been denied for the northern team, they did manage to get a presence in the southern or southwestern pond. And they did manage, or apparently managed, to force Katawanga out of the navy. Well, of course by taking out the factory earlier. I think we talked about that. But the raid for Knappewasser in the north is still not over, so it does continue to get damage done. And that definitely paid well for itself. There is now PD up here that basically is protecting this one max that is about to reach T2. And also just coming in to try and deal with that. And since there's no AA, that will probably, even if it does very slowly, succeed in that. Eventually. Most likely before another max goes down. However, once again, that push definitely did paid for itself by causing large amounts of damage. Stealth going up for Deus, already with a gun upgrade. Let's see, what else do we have currently? That frigate right here just being harassed by these larger number of frigates, this large number of frigates out from Strife. And not too much going on. Some arty just being used to deal with the Thunderheads right here on the northern point. But things do calm down for the moment. So while that happens, we can take a short look at how economies have been developing thus far at 11 minutes. Team 2 currently massively ahead. That is not too surprising considering that massive run by in the north. By around, well, yeah, around 40 mass, roughly. Roughly 35 to 40. Though they seem to be falling behind now, maybe some power locking, I would expect. But, well, or maybe just losing some maxes because I just noticed that there was some jesters right here while I was paying attention to that. Other than that, maybe let's take a short look at tech. T2 Navy now out for Strife. That can be very dangerous with those Seraphim cruisers that get some pretty decent missiles. That's definitely able. That will definitely create the option or open the option to cause widespread damage on the southern team's front. TMD already built up by those players to try and protect against that. We also do see a cruiser already up for Langawulin, currently bombarding the northern part of the map, right here. That stuff. We'll probably also get some damage done with that. Now, T2 land out for Katawanga and for Knaberwasser. And would you look at that, T3 Air out for Langawulin. How does T3 Air look on the northern team? There's also T3 Air out for the northern team, and already a T3 PGen almost done. So northern team seems to be slightly ahead on that. However, not too far, as, since I already pointed out, there is also already the T3 factory finished for Lagavulin. They are just... sorry about that. They are just behind a bit on the PGen. But I think those are currently the most important things in terms of that. We do see a nice utilization of those amphibious tanks that the Cypern get access to, by Knaberwasser getting a bunch of Wagners and moving them underneath the waves to create a small raid, and firing into the commander of Strife, also taking out a mech. And apparently those torpedoes can also be fired while above the surface, just as a bunch of direct fire missiles. Looking at those projectiles. That is good to know. I expect them to be pretty bad projectiles, but... well, not even that. They did cause quite a bit of damage. Huh. That's definitely good to know. Now, another Wagner manages to get down here in the south unnoticed, meaning that there will be some more damage done here, with a bunch of T1 mechs going down. That won't be... the damage caused in total isn't too much, but it will be annoying to rebuild, as damage generally tends to be. That cruiser slowly coming along. Slowly being the important word here. And Nano Repair now going up for Deus. So they will probably use that commander more aggressively from now on, or as soon as that finishes. Maybe trying to get a cheeky commander push down here over the water in the south, or just through the front line, not too sure. We will see how that goes. TMD up here now to defend against the cruiser. Would be nice to see more cruisers being built up. And would also be nice if Langarulin would stop building the normal ships or frigates, as they basically have full naval control up there, and thus I think it would be very much an adequate decision to just go complete cruisers now to ensure maximum naval bombardment. Transport up here in the north, flying past the edge, trying to get a drop in behind. That does come out of Kampfkicks, so that will be... those are blazers. I guess a blaze drop to attempt to take out these naval factories. But there are also destroyers being built. And of course just frigates as well in the pond. So that will cause some issues, and okay, no, that is actually not a cruiser, that's good to see. But there are also destroyers coming up. The cruiser does lock onto the transport, but... oh, it does actually lock on fast enough to shoot that transport down, preventing it from dropping. Well, there goes that. Cruiser now finished for Strife, and they are starting to fire onto the maxes of Knapperwasser, though already anticipating this to come, they have they were prepared and did build up some TMD. That already got something like 20 missiles shot down. Very nice to see. Very nice. A somewhat large wave of Wagners coming in. I guess that is a way to improvise when you don't have the same access to hover tanks that the other factions get, just large amounts of the amphibious tanks that just stay underwater, though hover would probably be more effective. Saying that, against these Seraphim destroyers, hover is also rather ineffective, since these beam weapons are very good in dealing with any kind of hover spam. Some effort, or some successful effort, was made by Katawanga to get up some naval factories once again. And either it was not noticed, or they did basically just secure that sufficiently to be able to keep that for the moment. Wagners do make it to land, but a combination of Spectres and just this destroyer were enough to prevent that from those actually causing any real damage. But there is already another wave of Wagners underway, and those might be more effective. Also just taking out a bunch of frigates with those torpedoes. Now, is there any T2 currently attempted by Katawanga right down here in the south, or in the naval production? No, they currently seem to be solely focusing on getting some frigates up. Fair enough, you also just need units on the field to protect that. And yeah, currently still 2 cruisers, another one already coming in. Okay, good to see the naval production right here was stopped, as that was no longer necessary. However, the mix right here still seems to continue, but looking at that, 5 cruisers, 2 bulwarks, and a single Valiant. I think that is an acceptable unit mix when you have one navy and are mostly focusing on these cruisers. As we can also see that these Valiants provide just great ability to deal with any commander that tries to do anything. And apparently the actual plan for Deus wasn't to be aggressive with the commander on the normal front line, but instead to use it as a naval unit. Also getting the torpedo upgrade that the Cypern have access to. And now trying to take out a single destroyer. Now the thing is, destroyers are very good at dealing with submerged units. Though with this nano upgrade, that commander is very, very chunky. As you can see, also with a lot of regen, meaning that it will hold out very long against that destroyer fire. Would be nice to see these Tiger Sharks also moving in to provide additional firepower against that. Though I would say in this situation, the ideal play for can't talk today apparently. For Lagavulin would be some Coopers, as those have some immense torpedo firepower, some immense amounts of torpedoes. And they would probably just be completely devastating in this situation. Though Lagavulin seems to be going for another solution, and that is torpedo bombers. Also, very good idea, as those will just force that commander out of the water, as those will quickly chunk down the ACU due to their high strikes or high strike damage. And as soon as that happens, the frigates and destroyers can just open up with the main guns. But ASF out for the northern team, out for both Deus and Deus and Kampfkicks, mean that that does sadly for the southern team, not succeed. What it does, however, not prevent is a large push from Wagner's out from Knappenwasser this time, on the northern side, coming out of the water. A few of Kampfkicks in the area to try and defend, but that commander is without any upgrades. So that could easily just go down to a bunch of Wagner fire right here. However, those are currently just focusing down the Maxes, all of which were T2, and all of which also seem to be going down right here. Taking out build power and costing a lot of mass for Kampfkicks. Yes, that is from Kampfkicks. Though they now have started building Harbingers, which will be an effective way to deal with the Wagners. At least as long as they actually do survive. And they have taken a lot of damage. But the Wagners are thinning out, and they seem to be just got anger veterancy as well, but they seem to be fine for the moment. Cooper's now being utilized to try and deal with this commander, and well, big problem with that, just the low HP for the Coopers, I guess. But it does seem to somewhat work out, as that commander needs to be a lot more careful now and takes a lot more damage. However, it would be nice to see those combined with the destroyers for the torpedo defense that the destroyers get, to cause some to provide some protection from the commander not missiles, commander torpedoes. But the ACU did that quite a bit just from killing off all that navy, already up to over 100 regen and nearly 19k HP. So yes, torpedo upgrade very powerful, but well, currently also still powerful enough. Now up to 5 ranks of veterancy and over 20k regen. That is definitely a way to create some sort of that will get back into the navy in some way for the northern team on the northern side. Completely missed another naval lockout on the southern side though, as apparently the naval production that was built up right here for Katawanga has died, and now a increased naval bombardment from Seraphim cruisers out from Strife has started, seemingly overpowering the TMD that was built up. Solution to that, by the looks of it, a bunch of tactical missile launchers right here that already did get quite a bit of value, and at least I suspect that those were used on Navy. Might have also been the things that killed the naval yards right here that appear to be dead. And looking at that, I think they are going after the HQ. Team D built up to try and defend against that, but no, never mind, that was actually going after the Navy. Kampfkrieg's now starting to ferry over those harbingers that we saw earlier being built by them. Nice to see. In my opinion, the ferry command is very underused in this game, as it is very powerful. A very powerful way to quickly bring units that are not produced near the front line to the front line. Since with that you can basically safely have your production facilities in your main base and not suffer from the issues of having short or from having the long reinforcement routes. And they are started. Well, completely missed that because I was paying attention to those transports and ferry commands because I'm a very big fan of that action. But I suspect that it was just the combination of Coopers and Valiants taking that down, since an increased focus on that was started by Lagavulin to deal with that commander. Basically going full Cooper spam for the moment. And at larger numbers it becomes very hard to deal with, even with the torpedo commander, even if that has the upgrades. Rambo Zakus coming out from Knappers in the meantime. Those sadly do not get torpedoes. Only the main ACU for the Cypern get torpedoes. Or gets torpedoes. But it does get a nasty MP cannon. Never noticed that the shots arced this much, but yes, they do, apparently. A nice range, rate of fire, nice range. And also just that EMP cannon that impedes everything, including T3 units. Well, all normal units. Does exclude experimentals and commanders. I'm also pretty sure as ACUs. But in addition to that, this command, these cycles also get a very amazing really can't talk, nano upgrade. That, while it does not increase the HP, it does provide a whopping 400 regen on these cycles. Though, to be honest, the HP pool does not need to be increased on Zakus even further, because they already tend to be very tanky with their 19k HP base. But with that stun, they are very effective in 1v1ing any kind of unit, as we can see. And are not starting to force back the stuff of the northern team. And with that regen, they can also just sustain a large amount of fire, take a lot of damage, a lot of fire, as that will just not affect HP pool too much. Bricks now also being used? Well, I mean, I always would say I don't see that often, but I think more recently I have seen bricks being used more frequently to use their torpedoes. Something that most players, or well, at least for a long time, wasn't done too much. The brick does have torpedoes and even torpedo defense, though they aren't too amazing. These bricks are easily spammed due to being just normal T3. Almost missed that, however, or, well, not almost, but did not notice that being built. There is now a monkey loadout from Kampfkrieg's moving into the water, so I suspect that that was intended to just move through the pond right here into the main base of Knapperwasser. And they do not have anything to really counter that at this moment in time. They are building a lot of TMLs, however, and a megalith. That megalith will definitely be something to help with that. In the meantime, Nano out for Katawanga and Laser currently going up. So I suspect that they will be going for the Cypher and Rambo ACU. That, due to this laser, is very, very deadly. We can expect to see a gun upgrade after that as well. But currently heavy power store, not too surprising as the laser is a very, very power intensive upgrade. And there are now bricks coming in to try and take out a bunch of Salems that were bombarding the position with that commander in it. Those circles just marching through the water, They did take quite a bit of damage, I suspect, from these torpedo launchers up here, and those are T2s, so yes, they will cause a bit of damage. But we can see those just getting a lot of health very quickly back. Once again, T2 just at a ridiculous amount of HP. Big drop up here in the north, now started by Katawanga, with a bunch of bricks by the looks of it. That will be very hard to counter because that's a lot of bricks, and there's not much to defend against that. Bricks a very powerful unit, due to having 7,500 base HP. We also see a bunch of bouncers coming in and a deceiver. I think those may have... Right, yeah, those transports flew quite close together, so maybe the intent was to keep all of them in the range of this one mobile stealth field, to make sure that it didn't get noticed before it dropped. And it worked well enough to make sure that that actually did drop. But PD does go down. Energies, well, energies do not go down, but maxes, once again, go down. It's always these maxes apparently. This time they are even at T3, no longer at T2, making losing those even more painful. Though considering how often they died, you could argue that upgrading them or even rebuilding them would not be worth it. I know that it is still worth it to just build those maxes, but I mean, they would just die again anyway, considering how much this place has been dropped or run past and stuff like that. Those cycles right here in the meantime just apparently being a general nuisance, motivating Kampfkeks to move their navy back a bit to try and take out these cycles with, well, limited success. Once again, nano on the Cypher and cycles. And almost missed that, would you look at that, a nuke. Very happy to have that special icon for the nuke to make it more obvious. In the meantime, an attempt by Kampfkeks to use Course Airs to deal with the with Katawanga's push in the north, or drop in the north, but the bouncers that were pushed with that are able to just prevent that. We do, however, now also see a Maglev coming in, and that will most likely suffice to take this out. Meantime, how's it looking down here in the south? The Maglev did attempt to make landfall, but there was the Maglev for Knavasa did finish, meaning that it was forced back into the water, and we now do see a battleship out for Strife. Now that will be a big problem, since battleships do outrange T2RT and cannot be shot down by TMD. Obviously, they are a battleship that is direct fire. That is how battleships work. Now, with that nuke on the field, we should definitely take a look at how the SMD coverage for the southern team is looking, and there's one SMD, which is not loaded. Okay, it's almost loaded. No SMD up here, so that can just easily be nuked. How loaded is that nuke? Around, yeah, let's say halfway down. Do they know about that? Yes, they do. There's not much of an excuse to not have SMD at this point. Especially for who am I currently spectating? Currently spectating Lagavulin, who is even overflowing mass at this moment. I stand corrected, they have SMD. Sorry about making the comment of them not having SMD, and that also does cover the base of Knabelwasser. Very sorry about missing that. It just merged in with the PGens that surrounded that, so I did not notice it. But now that in the north, that the naval situation there is back safe, basically, the production for Lagavulin has switched back to the old mix that we noticed earlier, with large amounts of bulwarks and large amounts of cruisers, which seem to be, I was about to say, which seem to be overwhelming the TMD in place for Strife. But no, Strife does actually have a sufficient amount of TMD for now. Though if the amount of cruisers does increase significantly, then that will no longer be sufficient. In the meantime, Megalith pushing, not really pushing, walking through the water, making a assault to and making landfall. Already immediately created by a GC out from Strife that immediately locks onto the Megalith, as well as these two battleships firing into that. The Megalith did get a few kills, I suspect probably just from the torpedoes on the Megalith that are surprisingly good. But I don't think that will get any more value done while on shore, and no it doesn't. And there it goes. Big wave of top bombers out here. Not too sure what those are supposed to be going after, since there is no naval presence from the Southern team in that pond. Maybe the goal is to go after the ACU of Lagavulin, who is up there in the north, and maybe they think that flying this way would be easier than flying through here, due to the presence of these cruisers up here. Other than that, I cannot imagine what those would be used for. Monkey Lord for Comfy Kicks once again trying to make landfall. Laser apparently did finish for Katawanga, and they are currently going for cloaking, making sure that they are not spotted while using that laser, I guess. Once again, cloaking, very power intensive upgrades, so they are on a heavy power zone at this moment in time. And I still hope that they are going for gun range, as in this conjunction that would be a very good call. But the Monkey Lord does arrive on land. There's a second Megalith ready that currently is trying to do the same thing that the first one did. Well, currently staying in the water and just using its torpedoes to deal with these battleships. Which can't do too much against that because, well, it's a submerged unit, it's below the waterline. And with the exception of the Cyprian battleships don't have any torpedoes. I'm also pretty sure that this is actually deep enough that there's also no AoE damage that can be done. A whole bunch of tactical missiles go in, trying to snipe these battleships, I suspect. But they don't get past, and this is streamed live on Twitch, so thank you for Cass Stitchel for the follow. Greatly appreciated. But yeah. Never mind, that was a bot. Right, sorry about that. Well, unfortunate. Anyway, I was about to say, a bunch of top bombers did come in trying to take out the Megalith, but the Air Force for Lagavulin was was there on time to take out all of the top bombers, preventing those from actually taking out the Megalith. Though it did move out of the water, should probably move back into the water to ensure safety from the battleships. At the same time, those guns do cause a lot of damage and are very effective in, well, almost taking out a battleship. With those torpedoes, that battleship will most likely die now, because the Megalith does shit out a lot of torpedoes. And no, might not quite enough. Well, disappointing. Though the GC up here has started pushing through the front line, and there's currently not much to count out. I do count 3 Rambo Zekus that would probably do very well against that, since they can't be clawed up by the tractor claws of the GC. And with that nano, they should be able to hold out against that beam quite well. But we also now see a bunch of broadswords coming in to deal with that, and the Megalith has turned around to start firing. An attempt from Knabberwasser also out to use those tactical missiles against the GC, but those did not hit. Those missed the mark due to the GC moving. Big problem with the tactical missiles is that they are very slow and that you have to lead your targets, making them very easy to dodge. Because leading the targets can be very hard, and, well, It's also just the fact, due to them being very slow, you can also just completely make any leading stop working or being incorrect by moving a little bit or changing the course a little bit. But one battleship does go down. 2 more megaliths moving up. That will definitely be a devastating amount of both HP and torpedo firepower. And more cruisers up here in the north, being utilized, though there is now also a megalith in the water up here to try and deal with that. The solution for Lagavulin, once again, Coopers. And once again, I have to say, probably the best thing that they can do in this situation to deal with the megalith, as they need something with large amounts of torpedo firepower that they can easily spam out to take to deal with those. But that megalith currently is capable of taking out most of these governors. But for the moment is forced back onto the land due to another big drop of bricks out from Katawanga. Though there is a bunch of harbingers that are moving in to try and counter that. And of course the megalith itself, that has moved out of the water once again to deal with that. Meaning that this time I don't expect these mechs to actually go down. Kampfkeks in the meantime, going for a saw. That is currently slightly under threat from these bricks, but this time I don't expect those to actually cause any massive damage. He said, and then saw 1 mech going down here. Which is still very nasty. Now this time it was only 1 mech. And for this position, Aeon TMD proving very, very effective in dealing with, well, anything involving missiles, because when it's Aeon TMD, it just redirects the missiles instead of shooting them down, and it can do so with multiple missiles. Another big wave of tactical missiles now going after the HQ of Strife, and that almost got through. That HQ is down to 2 HP. The battleship that was building did complete, but the engineers immediately go on to a repair order instead of a assist order to get that HQ back up to 4 HP. Though another one of those tactical missile strikes and that HQ is down. And there would be another one loaded, but it's not going after that. How's the nuke looking? The nuke is almost is loaded, and almost loaded a second time. How's SMD looking down here? This one is loaded twice. There's now also one here that is currently not loaded, but halfway loaded. 2 SMDs down here. One is loaded once, the other loaded twice. And Katawanga actually going for T3 and Nano. And not Nano, and Cloaking. Giving that ACU the maximum possible HP pool for a Cyclone ACU at 29k, at least the maximum base HP pool without veterancy, and the laser upgrade. Those Rambo Cycles here, right here, just soaking up that the damage. Something that's really, really easy with those, as I already pointed out multiple times. 400 regen. That's a lot. Aircraft carriers now started to be built by Strife. The nice part about Seraphim aircraft carriers is that in addition to being an aircraft carrier with amazing AA and the ability to build aircraft, as you'd expect from an aircraft carrier, it also has this little hole right here in the back that launches missiles. And at pretty good ranges. Basically, the Seraphim aircraft carrier is just a supercruiser. Because it does everything that a cruiser does, in addition to having the ability to build aircraft. Battleship goes down to a bunch of tactical missiles, once again. And the SAR did actually finish. Big airfight does ensue, and I think Lagavulin did just right-click all of the singular ASF of Kampfkicks and Shift Treat them, which, well, you need to be very fast with that. I do that sometimes against smaller ASF clouds, and if you do that, it is very devastating since you will basically just make perfect turns against each and every one of these ASF. But they did basically win air to that, but it was not enough to deal with the Saw. So that Saw will continue to cause damage. A Megalith out for Knapwasser was moving through the north, causing damage there. Also, once again, taking out these Maxes. It does move into the water to get safe from the Saw's beam, but the Saw also gets some pretty amazing depth charges, meaning that this Megalith is not long for this world. Some ASF do come in for Lagavulin, trying to take out the Saw, and I think the shield was dropped a bit earlier due to the airfight beforehand, meaning that those did cause a lot of damage. Putting that down into the red. But there was also a good ground fire from the Saw, meaning that the ASF passing underneath would just die to the beam weapon. Apparently there's a YOLO under construction, and yes, Strife has started building a Lona Os. Though still didn't fire the normal... Never mind, the normal nuke died because I completely missed the presence of a disruptor out from Knapwasser. I even zoomed into this area. I should have noticed that there was a disruptor, but I didn't. So T3RT on the field for the Southern team as a form of standoff technology, and with the Yolana Ost right here scouted, we can expect that to be primaring down this area, trying to take that out. Strife desperately trying to build up more shields to deal with that, and also upgrading the pre-existing shields that are currently only at tier 2, meaning that they will not hold out too well against tier 3 RT fire. Ooh, that was nice AoE, taking out a bunch of SF, I think, in the area. Though that did prevent that from actually landing on a shield. But there was also a second disruptor already under construction right here, meaning that very soon that will just no longer be possible to shield against, or very hard to shield against. Lagavulin also already has a Duke out, which does have a slower rate of fire than the disruptor, but is a lot more accurate. And the construction of these P-gens for the adjacency will also help a bit with the fire rate. But yes, that is a very hard thing to deal with now, because of this. Now, something that cannot be done is teleport in due to this large amount of T1 PD as tele-defense. But with the amount of artillery fire, I'm not too sure if that will be important. Big push from Briggs, with Briggs and a Maclot out in the south, against the navy of Kampfkicks, that is currently of cyber nature. And with all the torpedoes that does actually provide, even if they aren't amazing on their own, just in this number they will be very effective. And that is actually able to do a lot of damage. And maybe try and retake the naval area, though at this point I think it's impossible to get back into the navy properly for Katawanga. I mean, they can certainly try, but I don't expect it to be a big possibility. Artillery fire continues to rain down, and there's currently, well, never mind, there's one T3 shield and two T2 shields still active, with more shields currently popping up. Another T3 shield just finished. Still not too great of situation right there to defend against. Another Duke also under construction. And a nuke out from, not out from Katawanga, out from Knapwasser. So definitely big investment now in standout from the Southern team to deal with the constructed, or, well, still constructing Yolana Ost, though that is also about to finish, meaning that that is a big threat, since if that finishes, it's going to be really hard to defend against that. as there's currently not a sufficient number of SMD in the area. As a matter of fact, the SMD for Knavasa just went down due to battleship bombardment and all these aircraft carriers, as well as neglyphs pushing on the front. Bunch of Zekus in the area, but currently just reclaiming. As those are Rambo Zekus, would be nice to see those actually being utilized as such. But lot more SMD needed in the wake of the threat coming out from the Yolona, since the count with, I think 5 SMDs for an unassisted Yolona only works when they are loaded from the get-go. Since if they aren't loaded, they still will need their long time to load. And that's generally not enough. And you don't have that time when you're building, when you are trying to counter Yolonas. Which has now finished and is about to finish loading. So let's get ready to play the fun little game of how loaded are you? Or in this case, how loaded are they? Well, disruptors continue firing. And there are currently 4 SMBs ready, or 4 anti-missiles. Shells continue impacting onto the shields. Maybe starting to get close on breaking through, but not close enough right now. The nuke goes, I think I've seen the ping right here, so that is right in range of this SMD, which is still loaded 4 times, as I already pointed out. So that first missile will get shot down. There we go. Well, there's not a missile that can be defended against. And now also this nuke, but well, I'm not too sure. Well, okay, I think the shields will survive long enough to get at least 2 more missiles out. Since there is still a T3 shield. Yeah, there's still a lot of shielding alive, so that will probably survive. Big brick army has moved through the water and is about to make landfall. That might be a big issue. Though not too sure. Well, I think Katawanga could take out the saw to protect those. The second missile flies. That SMD is still loaded. Shoots down the second missile. Now the next missile, however, will definitely land. And that's a big problem. The SAR moving over, maybe to be used as a shield to take out the auto tank, the incoming artillery shells, or maybe not. But the YOLO loads once again, and it is firing into the same area, meaning that this one will land, as the SMD is no longer loaded. SMD desperately tried to be built up by Knappwasser, but a little too late, and thus it's no longer looking too great. So the disruptor will actually go down, and the shields right here have not failed yet. In fact, a bunch more shields are about to get off cooldown and recharge, with another one also about to finish. And with that, the YOLO will stay safe. For now. Though, what does not stay safe is the SAR that does go down to an airfight just south of that. Did not pay attention to that. And also a bunch of bricks, the bricks now pushing in, which could pose a massive, massive threat. YOLO now instead being utilized as a PD nuke. But I completely missed that. I completely forgot that nuke down here was actually launched, meaning that I did not pay attention to that. Let's just look at this beautiful YOLO nuke here instead. This big explosion. Gone. And that, well, basically takes out the entire brick army. But due to the YOLO landing down here, the not the Duke, the disruptors actually did go down, but not before the second Duke for Lagavulin did finished. Which definitely can go and get some adjacency, or not. The big problem is this SMD is still not loaded. Next nuke, however, for now going after the base of Katawanga that does have 2 SMDs and is loaded plenty of times. Actually 3 SMDs. So that will be safe for now. And more SMD also building up now to try and deal with the Ilonars. Artillery fire now from the 2 Dukes continuing, but... Well, I was about to say it's no longer enough, but... No, it probably is enough, since the shield around some of these shields has started to fail now, and that means that there is not the potential for shields to go down to the artillery fire. And while that does not immediately threaten the Yolana itself, it means that the area will be less defended against future artillery fire, making it harder to defend in general, since you're losing your defenses. Which in the long term will still mean that the Yolanaos will go down. But another nuke flies, going after the Dukes by the looks of it. Just about passes by this SMD, which was loaded 3 times, and flies over the SMD right here in front of these Dukes, meaning that did actually get shot down. Though the SMD right here loaded just in time, meaning that it's no longer loaded now. And the YOLO will be about to load once again, as it is a Yolanaos. It loads very fast. I heard a chicken somewhere. Not too sure where, but I think I heard a chicken. Yes, that is most certainly a chicken. It would just be good to know where. Ah, right up here we have 2 chickens moving up the shoreline for Strife to try and take out the cruiser spammer from Lagavulin. With a Monkey also in the water to use its torpedoes to take out the cruisers as well. But we do have a bunch of broadswords taking out the chicken, and never mind, it's not 2 chickens, it's a chicken and a GC. I have a really hard time talking today, I'm very sorry about that. Madayolo comes in trying to go after the Dukes, and I think I just spotted a misfire from the SMD up here, which is very unfortunate, as that does mean that it did waste a very crucial missile that could be of major importance to defend against next. That would have been of major importance to defend against the next YOLO missile. And well, I mean the Dukes do survive for a bit longer, but not too sure if they will survive for long enough. And Lagavulin now starting to build up more SMD. I think it's a bit too late for that now, due to the fire that was already going in there now, and with the new SMDs there now being completely depleted. Meaning that those cannot load in time and the next missile will just break through. Clever was Cypern, and since I can't explain how else they got in there, I suspect I missed a teleporter. And that they attempted a tele-snipe of, well, Strife, maybe. They definitely prevented the Warsaw right here from building. But YOLO nuke flies, more shells are in the air, and I think the shields right here... Never mind, they did not collapse sufficiently. YOLO lands, and with that, these Dukes do go down. Do these cycles survive? Yes, they do. But very unfortunate. Teleporter did go up for Katawanga, and would you look at that, a Scathers. So they are now going for the desperate play of another game ender to counter the Yolanaos, though the big problem with that is that it is very easy to shield a singular construct against Scathers. The Scathers saturates a large area with damage, making it very hard to defend entire bases and stuff like that against it. What it doesn't do is it cause a lot of damage on a singular small area, meaning that it is easy to shield a singular unit or position against it, like for example Yolonaos. It would be very hard to, for example, defend this aggro up here against it though. Saying that, the solution here is probably pretty obvious. Take out the power, aggregates, and thus killing off the power for the northern team, to make sure that the shields up here no longer work, allowing the scaffers to break through.
Strategic launch detected.
That is probably the best call for the southern team right here. That scaff is going up rather quickly, as there is a bunch of NGs currently busy reclaiming, so yeah, it's not too surprising. Especially reclaiming those dukes will be essential for this. Katawanga asking for mass to finish that, and almost finished on the Scathers now. And as soon as that finishes, we will see if that is used in the way that I suggest, and well, that is an attack ping onto the Yolonaos, so I suspect that it's not. Though I could also just be surprised, or I wouldn't be surprised if I was just wrong and that shielding is not enough to deal with the Scathers. Could also just be the case. But another YOLO nuke goes out, trying to take out the Scathers, and I'm sorry for just zooming quite a bit. Old habits die hard, I guess. Especially due to me being assuming a lot when I actually play. But yes, Scathers fire does go after the YOLO, and considering the fact that the shields are all very low, I guess I was wrong. Since the next level will probably break through these shields now. Bunch of ASF flying overhead, tanking a bit of the damage, and yes, Scathers shells do land, taking out a bunch of the shielding, making future shielding even harder now. Shields pop back on, however. So for the moment, it is safe. And the Scathers stopped firing, never mind, it didn't. Was just confused why there weren't any shells in the air, though currently it seems like the rendering of the yellow circles seems to be a bit buggy. Weird. Did not see that one yet. But nuke being utilized down here to take out a bunch of bricks, and well, not too sure what we saw there, but I suspect just a bunch of bricks and stuff like that in the water to defend. Allowing the battleships to get closer, try to bomb out the Scathers. That will... well, if it doesn't break through on this salvo, it might do so on the next one. Well, shields stay up, so yeah, I suspect it's the next one that will succeed, though we now also see a lot of shield assistance, which is basically... yeah, if you use shields, you basically rebuild them with the mass cost to build the shield in order to regenerate their shield HP pool. It's very it's very heavy on the mass cost, but very effective to protect small areas. Once again, for example, YOLO. And very important also in defending against the Scathers. But with proper shield assistance and stuff like that, it's basically impossible to properly defend against... not impossible to defend against Scathers, impossible to for Scathers to actually break through properly. So that YOLO will probably continue to exist now. Meantime, battleships down here, starting to bombard the shoreline. Another Maglev moving into the water, never mind, another two moving into the water. Utilizing their torpedoes to try and take out the battleships. But it needs Katawanga needs to make sure that their base does not go down to that battleship file. Right. The thing I suggested earlier when I saw the Skyfest being built has now been implemented, with a retargeting onto the aircraft to take out the power. As, since I already pointed out, it's easier to defend a very small area against a Skyfest than it is to defend your power infrastructure and stuff like that on a larger area against it. So while a Skyfest will most likely not break through this here on its own, it will be able to break through the stuff up here, as already said. And with a lot of the integral power for the northern team being there, that will basically allow to drop these shields due to power stall and thus break through in the end.
Strategic launch detected.
Though it is also important to target this stuff down here due to the P-gens found in here. Now, another nuke does go down, and this one is going after this stuff up here. With a bunch of Zakus, and not sure what actually is there. Well, apparently there's a Continental with the ACU for Lagavulin in the area that immediately flies back, seeing that missile come in due to the threat of just going down. Very good call. Now flying through the aftermath of this missile to get back into safety. They were forced to pull back due to this Monkey Lord and its torpedoes, and obviously did not want to be in the nuke range for that. But that nuke did land. There are 2 more SMDs right here that are not loaded. So this position for Lagavulin is very questionable, as they are currently not protected from any missiles. Nukes now, or another nuke now flying up here to, I guess, try and deal with the stuff that was going on up here. There is a lot of build power for Lagavulin up here that is currently just mass producing fat boys, which have a tendency to be, well, very hard to deal with once they make landfall due to their large rate of fire and large range. Aircraft up here did end up failing, as predicted. And where's the Scathos firing now? Firing back onto the Yolana Ausbildungs. Wait, no, that's where the YOLO is firing. Going after this position right here. That does have SMD, but only not even loaded once, about to load once, but well, that one will most likely land. Lagavulin gives over all of their units to their teammate Katawanga, so I guess they see the writing on the wall and have basically resigned themselves to their fate. Oh, okay, Scathos shells do actually land on the aggregate right here, killing off a bunch of very important power. Let's see, how does power look for Strife now? It looks like they are currently living off of overflow, going after this. We are looking at a singular T2 P-gen, and I think that's it. They have the ACU that does have RAS, producing 4000. I think that's ARAS, but never mind. And I think that is the entire power infrastructure. So they are just relying on power overflow from Kampfkeks, who, yes, is overflowing around 47,000, so that does add up. But another nuke lands right here, taking out another big area with the other assembly. Battleships continue to fire down onto the shields of Katawanga now, who is desperately trying to upgrade those, though, well, to be fair, if they upgrade, they basically restart at maximum health. But their SMB is currently under threat from the Navy, and if their shields in that main base die, they are in a lot of trouble, as without those, they cannot keep their SMBs alive. Big wave of Strat bombers coming in, going after the Scathers. ASF moving in to try and defend against that, but this Catalyst does go down. And with the Game Ender down, and not even Reclaim left due to the overkill damage, and also just the shields collapsing due to the fire from those SMDs will quickly fail now just due to all of the naval fire. SMDs up here already went down, well, at least 3 of them did.
Strategic launch detected.
And Yelena is still alive, continues to fire, and will now be able to just start breaking through as these shields and these SMDs are no longer able to keep this alive. Also, I'm not too sure why this shield is currently offline but not regenerating. I think there was some shield cycling and power stalling going on, something like that. But does go online just in time to defend against some more missiles coming in. Teleporter does come out from Katawanga, takes out the secondary accurate for Kampf kicks. But, well, okay, there's another tele already going. I'm going right here.
Strategic launch detected.
Takes out a much more power. And Lagavulin does go for the Control K. But yes, I don't think that this can be won for the Southern team anymore, as those main bases are just completely collapsing now due to the naval fire. Maglov's still desperately trying to defend what's left of the or defend, but there goes the recall, or never mind, the Control K out from Katawanga, and with that, this game is over. I hope you enjoyed this one. Was a bit of a longer one once again. But yeah, this was streamed live on Twitch, as I think I mentioned it earlier a bit. So link to that will be down in the description, as well as link to replay, fav, and the likes. If you did enjoy it, leave a like, or don't, can't force you. If you want to be notified when more videos like these do come out, or more casts, and usually I am, well, a bit more, well-spoken, I'd say, than today. I don't know, I don't know what it is today. But yeah, you can always subscribe to get notified when more videos like these do come out, because they definitely will, whether you like it or not. And yeah, with that, hope you enjoyed, hope to see you again in a future cast, and until then, bye!